O-M to the G. I mean, yo, I feel like it's been a minute. And, now that I'm done with this semester, I'm ready to be all in and just talk about things that I've been learning, not only about in school, but just overall in life. I mean, I'm going for my master's, never thought I would be going for my master's. And it's kind of something that I've done a lot of introspective work about, like life itself. I mean, I'm going for my master's. It was so hard that I'm asking myself, like, what am I doing? Am I supposed to be doing this? Because the kind of work they were giving was so tremendous. It was like I didn't have enough time to do the work, enough time to live my life, enough time to, juggle between other things like work and whatnot. And it was just so much. And so it took a lot of time to be diligent and disciplined, but also balance life itself because, my whole life isn't just about school. I'm doing it because it's something that allows me to open doors and whatnot. And I'm so excited to be done next year, 2027, so I can be able to apply everything I've learned throughout my journey to the real world. So we're almost there. We're almost there. Let's do it. Taking some ginger shots right in the morning just so that I can start my day off. It's actually something good for your stomach. And, I just feel like it's something that kind of is just a part of what I like doing now. And so I just want to do a cheers to start off and just say by, greatness comes from small beginnings. Let's take a cheers to that. When I was taking my classes, in that moment, I'm thinking about, what is it that, I'm doing? And is this the thing that I'm doing that I want to be doing? And I think a lot of us is always looking for meaning. And that meaning is what we may have heard purpose. Like, what is our purpose? What is it that we're supposed to be doing? And I think that there's so many things that gets in the way of finding our meaning, because what means to us that allows us to find purpose, like what something means to me allows so much more purpose about me to take care of what that means. And I hope that means something. I also try to be very intentional about the words that I use, because a lot of us don't understand that there is a big meaning to the words that we use. I mean, I find myself saying certain things and then my girlfriend has to be like, oh, don't say it like that because, you can manifest it accidentally. And it's funny, I think that sometimes certain things has manifested into my life and I'll be like, oh no, but that's not what I meant. And so you have to be very specific on not only what you say, but very specific on the things that you do. Because there's so many things that are in this society that takes us off track to be able to do the thing that means the most to us. And that doesn't have to be the most grand thing, right? I think a lot of us, stays attached to materialistic things. I mean, I've been there, and it's just the fact that, no matter how much you have, if that's money, if that's, materialistic things, if that's, having a big house or anything that is materialistic, it doesn't matter. Well, actually, I would say that it matters, but it's not important, because matter is something that holds weight. And what's important is more about how it makes you feel and how it resembles to what you believe in and how it coexists with your morals. What matters isn't important, and what's important doesn't matter. And it's crazy. I'm like learning so many things in the aspect of, like living my life through the experience, and then also educating myself through textbooks, through, a master's program, right? And one thing I noticed is that within that program, as people that go to a master's program will realize that, they teach you so much, but when you go into the real world, of course, you're gonna learn a lot more. And I also find it that, the world itself, right? We try to hold each other accountable for things, but it's hard for us to hold ourselves accountable. And so many times we judge people based on their actions, but not their intentions. But we judge our intentions and not our actions. It's like when you think about something, you judge yourself like, oh, why am I thinking that? Why should I, have this thought in my head? But we don't necessarily think much more about the action. We think about our intentions first before we even act on them. And then when it comes to people on the flip side, we judge people based on their actions and not their intentions. And, there's a balance to life of understanding purpose and intentions and the words that you use and whatnot. And I think it's important for us to understand the aspect of what it is that we want to live by. And there's a lot to it. And one thing that I've learned is that you don't want to be so busy. I feel like I've been at a point where I think that I always need to be doing something. And I realize that just because I'm not doing anything doesn't mean I'm doing something wrong. It's really about, me doing nothing is doing something for me. And so just because it's not giving anything outside from me doesn't mean it's not giving anything within me, inside of how I feel. And through me going for my master's, going to school, but overall just, the day-to-day life, I know most of my friends, they be very busy as well. And I think about, how can we live in a life that is so much more fulfilling? And with just research that I've done tremendous amounts of research and watching videos and looking at other perspectives, because that is ideally what social work is about. Being minimalistic is a skill at this point, because so many of us gets conflicted with what we need to do next. Like, after I do this, what's next after that? What's next after this? And it's overwhelming to the sense that when are we ever gonna feel fulfilled? And I realized for myself that fulfillment is not necessarily having more or knowing more, but for what you have to be able to see it clearer. Quite frankly, I don't know it all. And there's not one person out there that got it all figured out. We live in a universe that is forever expanding. And since it's always expanding, it's always getting bigger. And there's always so much more to learn. I mean, there's thousands of things to learn, but for what it is that you want to learn, there's probably so many things you want to learn. There's so many things that you're curious about. And matter of fact, that right there is a gift, to be curious, to be wanting to know more. It's just while you're in that pursuit of figuring it out, you don't want to burn yourself out and keep feeling like you need to do the next thing, because we will burn out. And, I'm really excited to come back to talk to you guys and learn so much more. I'm learning so many things with, making events and doing a community cleanup at 5 Mile Pond over in Springfield, Massachusetts, and just trying to be an advocate for, my environment. The most important thing is you respond to the environment. When you see something within your environment, within your senses, it's important that you respond to it, because it's your environment. It's calling to you. You are part of your environment, and the environment is part of you. And the way that you respond to your environment is also how things can be able to attract to you. When you respond to something within your environment then responds to you when you're asking for something. It reminds me of the book that I read plenty of times, Ask and It Is Given. And when you ask for it, your environment, the universe, listens and responds to you. But within your own environment, if you don't respond to it, if you don't do anything that doesn't align with you, then the universe won't align when you ask for something. So that's why it's important that you are an advocate to your environment. You are a person that sets that standard for yourself, and that if something doesn't align with you, if something doesn't sit right with you, that you respond to it. And that could be physically, emotionally, mentally. It's just a matter of setting that standard. And your standard is not going to be someone else's standard. It's your standard. And that's what makes it so much more important. And always remember that it's not about what you do. It's about what you don't do. Because the thing that you do, you can always adjust after you did it. But if you never did anything, there's nothing to adjust, because you did nothing. And so, again, I'm really excited to be back and, continue talking to you guys about the things that I learned along my journey, things that I noticed around me in my environment and whatnot. just to let you guys know, if you're in the local area, you know, Springfield, 5 Mile Pond, July 25th from 1:30 to 3 o'clock. It's on a Saturday. We're going to do a community cleanup for 5 Mile Pond just to bring awareness about the lack of attention 5 Mile Pond has been getting, but more so like the attention that it hasn't been getting. And so really excited to let everybody know about that, have everybody there just to, you know, help clean it up and, you know, just have a good time. There's going to be limited supply for like gloves and trash and whatnot, and some pickers to pick up trash and whatnot. And, you know, it's just a good time. You know, it's really just to be an advocate to our environment. And there's so many more things to come, and I'm really grateful. And until next time, you guys be easy. Peace.